Let's make this hex nut and bolt in Plasticity. So I'm going to start my scene with a cylinder, grab it, and it's going to be, it doesn't really matter here because we're now going to make them compatible in this tutorial with existing nuts and bolts. I'm going to make it something like 10 millimeters and extrude something like, let's say 50. Nice number. Then I'm going to grab the spiral tool. I'm going to click at the very bottom and the very top of this cylinder, drag out until the edge, and click. Obviously, this is lame. Like, no nut would have this kind of thread, so we're going to increase the number of turns, something like 16, probably enough. You have license here, obviously, so choose something that makes sense. Hit enter to confirm, and now we're going to use the pipe tool to make the actual threads. There are several ways to do it. Obviously, you can also use the sweep tool, but I found that the pipe is just quick and you have more control, so I'm going to use that. Hit P to pipe. I'm going to set the vertex count to 4. You can use 3 if you want, but 4 makes it a little easier to print, so 4 it is for me. I'm going to change the section size until the shaft of the cylinder disappears. So basically, I want the edges to touch because otherwise it's going to create a geometry that's going to cause us trouble. So maybe 1.7, let's say. So when they overlap, it's good enough. I'm going to confirm. And now I'm going to take my original cylinder, hit 4, click it, Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to hide it and keep it as a backup just in case. Then take our original cylinder and I'm going to push 3, select the outer face, and move it out or extend it out until I can see a little bit of it here through the spiral. Hit enter. Then select with 4 the spiral and the cylinder and QQ to merge them as a Boolean operation together. If you don't like these outer threads to be spiky, you can select with 2 the edge and then give them a little bevel. It's kind of stubborn sometimes, so it is going to spawn an error over here every now and then, but it is absolutely possible. Something like this is probably going to be okay. So the shaft of the bolt is pretty much done. If you want to make it a specific size, what I do recommend is using a corner rectangle, maybe snapping to the grid, and then doing something like this to set a specific size. Let's say you want it 30 millimeters. Confirm. Then this one might be able to cut. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You can see it did. So now we have, if we select this one and isolate it with the period, we have a screw, basically, or the shaft of a screw that's exactly 30 millimeters long. Let's keep it like that. It's going to be a little difficult to insert this, so I'm going to take the line tool and give it a point. I'm going to create basically a hat here. I'm going to give it maybe this kind of angle here, something like 50 degrees, or let's make it clean. Let's make it 55 maybe, something like that. It doesn't really matter. Press F to bring up the menu, REV to revolve, click revolve. Select the y-axis in this case, and push it up. Then I'm going to hit 4, select the shaft, C to cut, select this sheet, and cut it. I'm going to click that, remove it, click that, remove it, and we're left with a nice insertable screw. Obviously, if you want it shorter, you can just push this. Now I'm going to go to the bottom. And because I am at the origin, I will have no problem creating an aligned polygon. But you see, if you don't have this in the origin, it's going to be very difficult to tell which one is the center of this system. That's why I created that backup at the very beginning. So I'm going to drag out from here, and I want to make a nut. So I probably want this to be large enough. Maybe something like this. In any case, it's not going to be realistic. If you see that's being created in the wrong place, no big deal. We can just push it down until the base. So something like that. And then hiding the top plane. I'm leaving all these things here, by the way, because it might happen to you. So at least you're informed. Push it down like that. And let's see, somewhere there. I think it's a little too thick. So why don't we make it a little less thick, something reasonable, probably like that. Then I want to make these edges a little less sharp. So I'm gonna push Control, Alt, and click one of these edges to select the edge ring, much like in Blender. And I'm gonna give it a nice little fillet, let's say 2 millimeters for now. And because I wanna make this kind of look like an original nut, I'm going to round off these corners as well, or these edges, top and bottom. I'm going to use a similar system as the one I used before. So I'm going to pick the line tool, and let's say we can make something like this as a cut. I'm going to remove my grid because it's getting in the way. I'm going to revolve this. So F-R-E-V to revolve, select this axis and revolve it. 4, select the bolt head, C to cut, and select that. Bam, done. Move, and this one also remove. I'm going to remove this one as well. If it's too much, you can always move it a little bit. Something like this. Maybe I'm pretty happy with it. Honestly, I don't have a problem with it. Now I want this to be on the other side as well. So I'm going to press 3, select this face, select this one, making sure it's not this, but that. That's basically the same face that's had this part removed. Shift space to create a new plane, and I'm going to mirror this. Alt X, select that, Q to merge, bam, done. We're going to reuse this for our nut, and right now I'm thinking maybe this is a little short, so I'm going to turn snap to grid back on, hit 3, and I'm going to select the bottom faces. Make sure you drag from the left to the right so that this selector is green. You can see it's green when I do that, and it's only going to include in the selection those faces that are entirely inside the rectangle. If I do the opposite, you see it selects the partial ones as well. So I'm going to start here, select those, G to move. I'm going to move them down maybe 1 millimeter. It's probably looking better, something like that. Yeah, I like it. So side view, 4 to select this, Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to make it match. Don't worry if it doesn't match precisely. In any case, it's going to be close enough. Hit Enter, and now I'm going to remove this from this. So Q, select this, T to keep the tool because we don't want to get rid of that, and press Enter. Let's take a look at this. So select the nut, period, and you can see we got this nice little hole. However, it might still be a little complicated to insert, so we're going to make this a little wider. I'm going to select all the interfaces, making sure all of them are selected, and I'm going to remove snap to grid and try to push them out. Actually, let's keep it 0.05, and I'm going to push these 0.1 millimeters. So there is a 0.2 clearance considering both sides. This should be enough. If it's not, you can make it larger, obviously. If it's not tight enough, you make it less or give it no tolerance at all. So Enter. We also want to probably bevel this edge, but not with the bevel tool because this is a little weird. You see it's creating this whole mess. So I'm going to make a solid this time. I'm going to go down here and starting somewhere around here, I'm going to drag out and then make a 45 degrees cut, something like that. I'm going to make sure I push this towards the center horizontally. So make sure you got that purple guideline as a straight now. Hit 2, select the other part if you have it, J to join. And now I'm going to revolve this. F-R-E-V, revolve, push, and confirm. In order to not create any weird artifact, even though most, it seems all of the faces are included here, I'm going to push it just a little more. So creating a bit of a cone, because I don't want to create any overhang or any sort of weird shape like that. I'm going to select this face and this face, Shift Space, select this one, Alt X to duplicate, and I'm going to duplicate it up. So we got 2. And then select this one, Q, remove this with Shift, and press Enter. And now you can see we got this nice bevel on this side and on this one side as well. So if I remove the edges, you can see it's not perfect here, but it's looking good enough. It's going to be very easy to insert. So if I remove that, go back from the isolation, now we got our nut and bolt system complete. That's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe for more. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.